to bring in CNN's Melissa Bell, who joins us live from Kiev. Good to see you, Melissa. So we have been keeping a close eye on Russia's attacks in eastern Ukraine. Russia trying to make territorial gains, but Ukraine pressing ahead with a major counteroffensive. Bring us up to speed with the latest.
That's right. What we'd seen earlier in the week, Lynda, with these gains to the north of Kharkiv as a result of that Ukrainian counteroffensive, that appears to have continued at a steady pace and with further successes, this time to the east of Kharkiv. Now, you mentioned a moment ago that evidence that CNN saw that several bridges had been blown up. We understand, we believe that that is the result of Russian forces trying to prevent that counteroffensive from taking back any more of its Ukrainian territory. Now, this is important. This counteroffensive was important not only in that, insofar as Kharkiv is finally getting a bit of respite after more than 2 months of shelling and a siege that has seen several hundred civilians, mainly women and children, Lynda, killed. The sheer numbers, of course, yet to be confirmed because it's only been a few days of real quiet. But it is also a counteroffensive that is essential in cutting the supply lines from Russia, the Russian border, down further to its efforts to expand its foothold from beyond the parts of Luhansk and Donetsk that were its strongholds already. Now, because of that counteroffensive, or rather that counteroffensive was able to take place, because over the course of the last few days and weeks, Russia has concentrated its forces further to the east. You mentioned Rubizne a moment ago. That is a town that Ukrainian forces further to the east in Luhansk province had been fighting for relentlessly for several days. We understand, although Ukrainian forces haven't admitted as much yet, that it has now fallen entirely to Russia. The next fear is for the town of Severodonetsk. Now, that is very close to the town that I just mentioned that has now fallen, and it was a town, Lynda, of some 100,000 inhabitants. What we understand is that there are now 15,000 Ukrainian civilians. Again, they will tend to be mainly women and children that'll be hiding in basements, waiting to see if that town falls. The fear is that if the Russian advances continue, it might. So far, as you mentioned a moment ago, Ukrainian forces, by blowing up those pontoon bridges, have managed to hold off that Russian advance around that Luhansk industrial basin. For the time being, the balance of power seems to be more on the Russian side, and it is to be feared that there could be more Russian advances there.
And Melissa, of course, the trial begins for the first Russian charged with a war crime. Give us some context. What do we know about this case and any other cases in this 11-week-old war?
There are more than 11,000 documented cases of alleged war crimes so far. We heard that today from Ukraine's chief prosecutor, who was explaining to us the context of this, the first case to be tried by the Ukrainian judicial system. And what was so extraordinary today is that even as that fighting that I mentioned went on in the east of Ukraine, there was ongoing fighting as well in the south of Ukraine. Here we were in Kyiv watching the first trial of a war that has yet to be brought to a close. And that was quite an extraordinary moment. A 21-year-old Russian who is alleged to have killed a Ukrainian civilian within the first few days of the war. He's alleged to have shot him after he and his men escaped when their convoy came under attack from Ukrainian forces in a stolen vehicle. The order came, we are told, for him to shoot, says a prosecutor, because they were worried that a civilian might report them. Today, he was in the dock, and what the Ukrainian prosecutor explained to us is that whilst all those international forensic teams continue to investigate on the ground here in Ukraine those crimes, and international justice is due to run its course since the ICC, we know, has begun its investigation. That can take a long time. Here's what she had to say about the importance of bringing some of these cases to trial now, even while the war is being fought.
These proceedings now can save lives of our Ukrainian civilians on the south and eastern part of Ukraine, because these perpetrators who are now fighting will see that we will find all of them, we will identify all of them, and we will start to prosecute all of them.
Now, there is, of course, the question of whether the 21-year-old soldier will get a fair trial. The prosecutor explained that the evidence collected against him, again, had been collected in the context of a war that has been covered by international journalists that have been here from the start, with extraordinary technology that has been put at the disposal of those teams that are trying to collect the evidence, those foreign forensic teams as well that have been making their way here over the course of the last few weeks to try and sift through some of that evidence in order that that international justice can be brought. She said that had been crucial to bringing her case. She said also that Ukraine's system would remain transparent and that these trials would be carried out according to Ukrainian law and in the utmost transparency. Also, we spoke to the Russian soldier's Ukrainian lawyer, who said that he had full faith in the Ukrainian system and that a fair trial would take place. But there is so much emotion around this case. As you can understand, this is a country still at war where emotions are running extremely high, and understandably so. We spoke at the end of the trial to the court translator who had been doing the translation for the Russian soldier. And we said to her, do you have hatred for him? What do you feel when you speak to him? She said, I don't have any hatred, because in the end you have to remember that this is a 21-year-old who is facing life in jail potentially, and that it is the tears of Russian mothers as well that taste just as salty as the tears of Ukrainian ones, Lynda.
Wow, yeah, that's so true. These young men are forced to fight this war. All right, we'll leave it there for now. Melissa Bell, good to have you with us. Thanks very much.